The movie begins in the year 2011, when a deadly virus spreads across the world and wipes out nearly 99% of humanity. However, a scientist named Trevor eventually discovers a cure and manages to save 5 million people, bringing them together to live in a single location. As a result, only one city remains in the entire world, and its residents live their lives normally. 400 years later, the government builds a massive wall around the city and tells everyone that anyone who leaves the city will be infected by the virus. They also claim that the virus is contagious, which is why all flights beyond the city's borders are strictly prohibited. But strange events begin occurring within the city. People start mysteriously disappearing, and the government does nothing to solve the problem. In response, a group of rebels forms an organization to stand against the government. They dream of freedom, which means leaving the city, even if it requires breaking the laws imposed by the authorities. These rebels are known as the Monacans. One of the most prominent members of the resistance is a woman named Aeon Flux. Missions and messages are transmitted through a special drug that members take, allowing information to travel from the stomach to the brain. Once activated, the leader of the organization, Handler, appears directly in the mind of the assigned operative. Handler appears before Aeon Flux and explains her new mission: destroy a specific station. She tells Aeon that every small mission is another step toward freedom, and that they will continue moving forward one step at a time. Meanwhile, more and more people continue to disappear throughout the city. Later, we see a man desperately searching for his missing daughter, showing her picture to anyone who might recognize her. At the same time, many other citizens are searching for their missing loved ones. Aeon's mission takes her to a rescue station guarded by security personnel. She successfully eliminates the guards and destroys the facility. After completing the mission, she visits her sister's home for dinner. However, the police kill her sister after suspecting that Aeon Flux is connected to the Monacans. Aeon witnesses her sister's death firsthand and is devastated by the loss. She returns home, consumed by grief and anger, and becomes determined to seek revenge. The following day, she receives a new assignment: assassinate the leader of the government. Without hesitation, Aeon immediately accepts the mission. Handler provides her with a mission map that appears directly on her arm. Because the operation is extremely dangerous, Aeon is paired with another agent. Together, they travel to the target location and begin preparing for the mission. At one point, her partner removes her shoes, revealing that her feet have been surgically modified to function like extra hands. The procedure was designed to enhance mobility and agility. She suggests that Aeon undergo the same operation, but Aeon laughs it off and says she likes her feet just the way they are. The two agents then move forward and enter a garden filled with deadly traps. After carefully navigating through the hazards, they successfully make it inside the building. Aeon activates the map to locate her destination. At the same time, a government meeting is taking place to discuss how to deal with the Monacans. One official argues that they should all be eliminated. Meanwhile, the government leader is rehearsing a speech he plans to deliver to the public. Suddenly, Aeon Flux enters the room and points her gun directly at him. The moment he sees her, he says the name Catherine. The name sounds strangely familiar to Aeon, causing her to hesitate. Instead of pulling the trigger, she lowers her weapon. Just then, the guards rush into the room, capture her, and lock her inside a secure chamber. When Aeon Flux regains consciousness, she finds herself trapped inside a sealed room with no obvious way to escape. As she searches for a way out, Trevor suddenly appears. She asks him why he called her Catherine and whether she even knows him at all. Trevor tells her that she doesn't know him, and that's exactly why she didn't have the courage to kill him. After saying that, he walks away. A short time later, she is given a drink, but before consuming it, she analyzes it and discovers that it contains tiny particles. She secretly keeps a sample of it. Then she stands near the ventilation shafts and begins to whistle. As soon as her metallic spheres hear the sound, they move toward her and position themselves behind the wall. Moments later, they blow up the wall, allowing Aeon Flux to escape. During her escape, she encounters several guards and engages them in a fierce fight. After battling her way through, she finally manages to get away. Around this time, we learn that Orion, Trevor's brother, is secretly controlling the people who send messages to the Monacans. We also discover that he wants to kill his brother in order to take over as the leader of the government and gain complete control of the city. Aeon then meets one of her friends and gives him the sample she saved so he can analyze it. He tells her that she'll understand everything once she drinks it. It turns out the sample contains a message from Trevor inviting her to meet him in secret. She immediately heads toward the meeting location, and along the way, she begins experiencing flashes of memories from the past. When she arrives, she finds Trevor waiting for her. He explains that something strange is happening within the government system, and that even he doesn't fully understand what's going on. He also reveals that certain people within the government are trying to keep the two of them apart. As Trevor speaks, Aeon starts recovering more and more memories. Forgotten pieces of her past begin returning, and she realizes that she could never bring herself to kill him, even if she wanted to. However, shortly afterward, she suddenly chokes Trevor and then loses consciousness. When she wakes up and leaves the area, she discovers a hidden room. She enters and begins searching for recordings or any information she can find. There, she comes across a photograph of Catherine, the woman Trevor had mentioned. To her shock, Catherine looks exactly like her, a perfect duplicate. Events quickly escalate from there, and the conflict continues until Aeon manages to escape once again. Meanwhile, Orion calls a government meeting and informs everyone about what happened at Trevor's apartment. He claims that Trevor has become a traitor because he met with one of the Monicans, and he begins spreading rumors about him throughout the city. The council then appoints Orion as the new leader of the government. He publicly declares that Trevor is a traitor and can no longer remain among them. He orders that Trevor must be killed immediately once he is captured. The story then returns to Aeon Flux, who is listening to an audio recording over and over again. One phrase keeps repeating throughout the recording, the spaceship. This leads her to realize that something important must have happened aboard a spacecraft in the past. At that moment, her partner arrives and reminds her of her original mission, to kill Trevor. She points out that Aeon has still failed to complete the assignment, and because of that, the Monicans now consider Aeon Flux herself a target who must be eliminated. Aeon argues that this is no longer just about killing Trevor. She insists that there are many things they still don't know and that she needs to uncover the truth behind everything that has been happening. However, her partner refuses to believe her. She pulls out a gun and points it directly at Aeon. That's when it becomes clear that her real mission was never to help Aeon, it was to kill her. A brutal fight breaks out between the two women. They exchange powerful blows, but in the end, Aeon emerges victorious. She restrains her former ally and throws her into the water. Afterward, Aeon climbs a massive tower in order to reach the spaceship. She makes a daring leap and successfully gets aboard. Once inside, she finds an elderly man working on various systems and making adjustments to some equipment. The moment he sees her, he appears to recognize her, as if he suddenly remembered who she was, and then he quickly rushes away. After that, Aeon starts searching for him everywhere, but she can't find him. As she continues exploring the spaceship, she discovers that it contains the names and personal records of every person currently living in the city. She calls out her sister's name, and her information immediately appears on the system. The ship's AI then provides her with an address linked to her sister. After learning the address, Aeon is completely shocked and can't make sense of it. She keeps asking herself how this could possibly be real, considering she watched her sister die right in front of her eyes. Meanwhile, we return to Aeon's partner, who is still trapped underwater. She contacts Handler and informs her that she failed to complete the mission and that Aeon is still alive. As a result, all the Monicans are alerted and sent to rescue their teammate from beneath the water. Back on the spaceship, Trevor asks the elderly man why Aeon managed to find her way there. The old man explains that she was searching for her sister. Aeon then travels to the address she obtained from the spaceship. She confronts the people living there and notices a young girl. To her surprise, she recognizes the child as her sister. However, the girl's parents insist that she is their daughter, leaving Aeon even more confused and unable to understand what is happening. At that moment, Trevor arrives and finally explains the truth. He tells her that the city's population has remained fixed at 5 million people and has never increased. The reason is that the organization secretly selects certain individuals, kills them, and then creates new children using their DNA. This is why so many people have disappeared over the years without anyone knowing the real reason. Trevor continues by explaining that after the virus was discovered, scientists eventually found a cure. However, infected women were no longer able to have children naturally. As a result, humanity turned to cloning after death. The spaceship was built to store and preserve human DNA because the infected population could no longer create future generations on their own. Instead of allowing humanity to go extinct, the organization developed this solution. They preserved people's genetic material and recreated them through cloning. However, fragments of memories often return to these clones, which is why many of them suffered from recurring nightmares. He then reveals that the people living in the city have existed this way for 400 years, meaning they have never truly died during that time. Trevor and his brother Orion were also cloned repeatedly throughout the centuries. However, Orion hid the truth from everyone. He murdered Aeon's sister because she was extremely happy and had become pregnant naturally. He didn't want anyone to discover what was really happening. As Aeon listens to this revelation, she is deeply affected by the truth. Suddenly, Orion's men attack the house and unleash a storm of gunfire. A massive battle breaks out. Aeon fights back and takes down many of the attackers, but during the chaos Trevor is shot twice and suffers serious injuries. Aeon rushes to him and applies a special ointment to his wounds, causing them to heal on their own. Afterward, they escape the area once Aeon has eliminated most of the soldiers. The two then head to Trevor's laboratory. There, Aeon shows him a photograph of Catherine. Trevor finally admits that Catherine was his wife and that the very first cloning experiment was performed on her. That is why he immediately recognized Aeon as Catherine the moment he saw her. When they arrive at the lab, they discover that Orion has already burned it down and destroyed everything inside. After leaving the facility, Aeon decides that the spaceship must be destroyed because it contains the biological records and DNA of everyone in the city. Trevor tries to stop her, arguing that the ship represents humanity's last remaining hope. But Aeon insists that people were meant to live and die naturally. As they leave, they are confronted by Orion and several government officials. Orion reveals that many women had successfully become pregnant naturally, but he personally ordered them all killed. Trevor is horrified and begins arguing with his brother over the terrible things he has done and the future he prevented from becoming reality. At the same time, a group of Monicans arrives. Their mission is to eliminate both Aeon and Trevor. Everyone moves onto the rooftop, where Aeon notices her friend aiming a sniper rifle directly at her. At that moment, her friend receives a message revealing that Orion is responsible for everything that has happened. Finally convinced, she tells the group that the target has changed and orders them to kill Orion instead. The Monicans open fire, knocking Orion to the ground. A huge battle erupts, and many people are killed. Aeon manages to escape while her friend covers her. Aeon then enters the garden area and fights her way through the soldiers surrounding her, eliminating them one by one. However, Orion gets back up and shoots Standra, Aeon's friend, killing her. He then continues pursuing Aeon and attempts to kill her as well. Trevor tries to stop him, but a bullet strikes Aeon in the stomach. Trevor points his gun at his brother, but before he can act, Aeon manages to shoot and kill Orion herself. Despite everything that happened, Trevor is devastated by his brother's death. He helps Aeon back to her feet and notices that the council members have arrived with a group of soldiers. Trevor approaches them, and they inform him that they stand with him and are awaiting his orders. Meanwhile, Aeon reaches the spaceship and plants explosives throughout the vessel. There she encounters the elderly man once again. He reveals that he was the one who saved her and that he was the doctor originally assigned to destroy her years ago. However, he refused because he knew how important she was. He explains that he preserved her DNA all those years and dedicated his entire life to bringing her back. He had hoped that one day she would return and convince Trevor to finally end the experiment. Aeon tells him that she is about to destroy the entire facility and asks what he plans to do. The old man replies that he has been waiting 400 years for this moment. He then tells her to live on because the world will need her. Aeon jumps from the ship and hangs beneath it as explosions begin tearing through the vessel. The massive spacecraft crashes into buildings while the citizens watch in shock. Eventually, it falls into the garden and destroys the giant wall surrounding the city. Just before the ship completely collapses, Aeon jumps free and survives. The people gather near the forest and, for the first time in their lives, witness the real world beyond the city. Trevor arrives and stands beside Aeon. Together, they leave the wall behind and prepare to begin a new life in the real world along with everyone else. And that's how the movie ends. Thanks for watching. Don't forget that your opinion matters to us, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel.